he said to the media manager at Carlton, make sure I can get across to Fox Footy again, will you? Because it works so well. And he's been good enough to give us a couple of minutes, Vossie. We really appreciate it, mate. 7 days is a long time in footy.
Could get used to this, Gaz.
Hey.
Don't mind coming to the MCG with a packed house.
What about trying to put a value on the experience of last week? It's probably worth 40 home and away games, I reckon.
Yeah, it's felt different. Obviously there was that real energy outside, which we felt the same sort of energy, but having now been exposed to it, we sort of know what's coming, both what's coming inside the arena, but what's coming on around it as well.
It's only 5 weeks ago that you had this opposition on this field and were able to get the job done. How much do you go back to that in terms of strategy?
Yeah, we've used a fair bit of it during the week because it's so recent, and probably because we know that Melbourne play a certain style. Obviously they look like they're shaping up a little bit differently forward of the ball, probably a little bit smaller than what we've traditionally seen them in the past, so we've just got to make sure that we get our matchups right at the start and then play a game from there.
Does that change the way that you might potentially structure up in defence? You know, you've got a lot of tall key defenders down there. Does that affect how you structure up forward and back, knowing that?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, obviously we've been hit a little bit up front ourselves with Jack and obviously with H not playing. But down back, I mean, one thing we've had an advantage of, the Weeders is sort of the big bopper down there, but most of the other guys have got a fair bit of mobility about them, so they've been able to cover the smalls and the talls. So it's a watch, but we'll sort of go in with our first plans and see how that evolves.
A lot of talk, obviously, about Harry Mackay not being there and Jack Martin as well, but in recent weeks you've played your best footy, or some of your best football for the season without Harry in the side. So do you lean back into that? Do you go back and study up those last few weeks and fill the boys full of confidence?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, we talk a lot about our contest defence, but, clearly, obviously, offence plays a role in it as well, and we obviously want to give that man a bit of a look forward to the ball, one out at different times. That's quite difficult given the crowd he attracts, but we've just got to make sure our ground level players last week kick goals. In finals footy, I find that the smalls, if they can get to work for you and they can kick goals, it can be a real difference maker for you.
What was the reaction of the group? You sit down on Monday and did you say to them, tell me about the experience? How did you cope with it? What was different?
Yeah, I did, but they were quite boring, Gaz. I think they just gave me a textbook answer. I said, you've got to kid me, guys. That was unreal. But no, they'll try and keep their own lid on it, Gaz. I actually was opening up that conversation for that emotion, but no, we fell, and it was a real connection around the stadium last week, and there's a lot of work being put in to get ourselves to this particular position, and we've been pretty steadfast in that, there's one thing to make finals, there's another thing to be able to have impact in them, and we haven't changed our side on that, and we're not going to change it today.
So we've spoken a lot about Melbourne's forward connection, but they had 69 inside 50.
Yes, we don't want that.
But you've spoken recently about how your defensive transition has gone underrated, and your ability to keep sides out of your D50. That's obviously a great opportunity to impose on the opposition tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's pretty something obviously early in the year we probably weren't quite getting right. Obviously the last game against GWS, but outside of that, we've been pretty good in that phase of the game. So we've got to just make sure that that's connected up. Clearly how we defend our own line is going to be really, really important. So when they do get their opportunity, let's just make it as difficult as we possibly can.
Now, what's the last hour look like? You take the boys in, you give them a big pump-up speech?
No, I kick back, mate. My work's done. Hand over to Cripper now. He takes control of the boys. We had our last meeting, spoke to him, just gave them final messages, and then it's over to them. Really, it's for them to be able to execute and us there to support and try and give them some eyes and try and give them some problem solving.
Hey, good luck. Don't for a second underappreciate how much we appreciate you coming out here. I know it's across the road, but you got lots on and it means a lot to us, so it's good to see you.
No, thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thank you. Michael Voss, great access, hence Simon Goodwin as well. He's off. He's getting back. The Carlton faithful around.